that. All right, so we're talking about, past tense, and we talked about the three-letter or mostly. So now we're going to talk about addition to the verb and how you can make things out. We already went over the alif, the waw, the ya. So if any verb, well, in the English language, you always have the subject, then you have the verb, and so if it has an object, right? So you say, I hit Shakil. We start always with the subject, right? That's the English language, right?
Yeah.
And then with the verb, so I hit Shakil, right? That is in the English language. In the Arabic language, just pass it around. Everybody have. I mean, I hate people not to eat. In the Arabic language, 90% of the time, it is the verb. Fa'il is the verb first. The fa'il, the subject, is second. And maf'ul bih, which is the object, is third. This is, you could say, 80 or 90% of the time. Okay?
Is it both the same file?
Fa'il is the verb.
Okay.
Fa'ala.
Fa'ala, okay.
Fa'ala. Fa'il, we said if you put the alif, it's the portion. Right. Fa'il. If you put the alif, we said if you put the alif the second, right? Maf'ul is the one that is the one that did the object. So the one that got, right? So fa'il. So, but sometimes, very rarely, when you could put the fa'il ahead of the verb. And so if you put the subject first, then the fa'il second, that's rare, and only if you're trying to answer a question of who. So you say, who hit him? You say, I hit him. So man darabahu, Tareef darabahu. So really only if there is kind of a question where you put the subject or the fa'il first. You would put the objects, the maf'ul bihi, first for exclusivity. So here if I put it to answer the question of who, here when I say meaning, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Iyaka na'bud, you we worship. We started with the object, which is you. The verb is worship. The people, the subject that are doing the verb is we, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with the object. Iyaka means you and only you we worship. We don't worship anybody else. If I say pizza akaltu, means I only ate pizza. If I said akaltu pizza, I ate pizza and I may have eaten something else with it, right? So if you start with the object, that's really exclusivity. This is just, don't worry about memorizing this because that is not really the, no, I ate jazakallah. I've already eaten. So now, usually there are, you could say nouns, okay? So this happens, فعل, فاعل, مفعول به, when we use the nouns. Meaning, if you said, I hit him or Tareef hit him, right? I'm specifying the difference between an I, which is a pronoun, vice Tareef, which is the noun. So we go with this if we use especially the nouns. Meaning, if you say akala, Tareef, التفاحة. Tareef, I'm naming him. التفاحة, right? The apple. verb, subject, object. Tareef ate the apple. So, but the Arabic language, what comes first? 90% of the time is the verb. Then comes the subject.
No.
Then comes
Object.
the object. Okay. In the English language, you always specify the subject. I ate, he ate, she ate, he, everybody. In the Arabic language, the he is implicit. You don't have to say it. So if you say أكل التفاحة, he ate the apple, and we know who we're talking about. I don't have to say he or she in this case. If it's a she, or it's a they, or it's a we, I have to specify. But if it's just a he, if I don't specify anything, it's a he. You understand? So any verb that you just see without specifying who did, it's a he.
Without the
But
subject.
the context of the sentence tells us who. So I can say Sheikh Habibur Rahman, he came in and he did this and he did that. So we all know we're talking about Sheikh Habibur Rahman. So I said akala pizza. I don't have to say he ate pizza. I just said ate pizza. In the Arabic language, you don't specify the he. Usually you don't specify the he for the object, for the subject. You specify it for the object, but you don't specify it for the subject. So what we're going to work on is a verb. All right, here we said nouns. If we use the pronouns, okay, I, right, in the Arabic language is the ta al-marbuta, akaltu, I ate, all right? Or if it's, we're using a pronoun for the object, darabahu, he hit him, that's also a pronoun. So each one of these has a pronouns, right? You could specify a name, or you could use the pronouns, the I, the he, the she, right? There is no it in the Arabic language. They, right, we, all that type of stuff, right? There are pronouns, then him, mine, their, all that type of stuff, right? So here we're going to work on addition to the verb. First, we're going to talk about the addition to the verb for the subject. Then we'll talk about the addition to the verb for the object. So here, if we take akala, ate. If I left it as such, without adding anything to it, we said it's an implicit he. It's an implicit he. All right? If I want to talk about a she ate. What do I say in the Arabic language?
Akali.
No, that's if I say you female ate. If I'm referring to she ate. Akalat. I add a ta sakina. Akalat. If I want to say I ate, it is a ta and a dhamma. So she, that's an I. If it's a you male, it's a kalta. You female, akalti. All right.
What was the first one? She ate is
She ate.
Yeah, that is akalat too.
Akalat.
Akalat. And this is
Akaltu is I.
Okay.
Akalta is you. Akalti is you female. If we want to say we ate, it's akalna. That is we. If it's they ate for males, akalu. Male, they. Now for a bonus, they female.
Na.
Akalna. So a noon by itself is female for they. Alright. You as a plural, here you singular male, you singular female, you as a plural, it's a tum, meaning a group of people ate, but you're talking to them. Akaltum,
Male and female. A group.
a group.
And you female was T or ni?
T.
T, okay.
So
Alright.
what's the difference between this na and this?
One with an alif and one without an alif.
So one with alif is always we.
So what about if it is only two person? You said akala, like akala.
Alright, beautiful. Two. Thank you. Two. Akala. Two. So here are the constructs that you add to the verb to specify the subject. Here are all for the subject, not the object, by the way. Everything here is subject. Object is different, because just like he hit him, her, was I, right? And you and that, he, all that stuff. So these are the constructs. So right now, we're gonna start making you guys come up with words and see if you get this concept. So now, you see how specific the Arabic language is? It tells you, you know exactly what we're talking about, right? One person, a female, this and that, all that stuff is there, right? So let's take words from the Quran and let's understand the meaning and in which context. You got this? Can I erase it so I don't want people to cheat?
No.
Is that the female base? Wow, alif.
No, the male group is waw alif. The female
Is
group
nun.
is just nun.
So would male akal, what would be akawa?
Akalu.
Akalu.
The alif is not to be pronounced. It's just to,
Wow makes prolonged.
yeah.
So the last
A group female and male mixed?
Mixed, when you mix males and females, you give the males the power.
Oh, I thought that was Tum was the.
Akaltum, when you're talking to them as a group also, it's a male, that's
Oh, okay.
akaltum.
Okay, so
What
wow.
female they? Akal na?
Akalna.
Na. Is it prolonged?
No, just na.
Na. Is it tamarbuda? Is that one? No.
No, noon.
Noon and after that. Noon.
La tum, akaltum. You as a group, you all ate pizza,
That's right.
right? Akaltum pizza,
Tum.
right? Right?
We got ice cream.
We're spoiled masjid.
Now you give me that when I can't eat anymore.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
Jeez.
So let's take few words from the Quran and see how what it means. Without looking. أعطيناك الكوثر. أعطينا. What is here? What does it mean?
Group of women.
Huh? أعطينا. It's a good. أعطينا. أعطينا. If I said أعطينا, it's a group of.
It's we.
It's a we.
We.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using the royal we, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. We gave you. A'ta is gave, right? A'tainaka. We gave you the kawthar, right? Let's use another word. Ja'ala minha zawjaha. Ja'ala. What does it refer to? Who is the subject here?
He.
It's a he, since we did not specify anything, right? Okay. قالت أن يكون لي غلام. قالت
She.
قالت she.
she. We did the ta, right? ساكنة. Alright. قلتم أن هذا.
Everyone.
You. Alright. قلت.
You also
You
singular.
to a singular. قلتي.
Female.
female. قال ربنا إننا ظلمنا أنفسنا فاغفر لنا وارحمنا. قال.
It's
We.
Two. Two.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would Sayyidina Adam and Sayyidatna Hawa ate from the apple, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why did you eat from the apple, from this tree? I forbade you. قال ربنا إننا ظلمنا أنفسنا فاغفر لنا وارحمنا. Right? قال.
That's not they. Qala is not they.
Day for two.
Oh, they for two. That's right.
Arabic language, three is a plural. Two is not plural in the Arabic language.
But you didn't say that before. They. Where is? Oh yeah.
قالوا. Okay, قالوا, what does it mean?
They also.
They for a group, no?
Right, for the group.
قلنا.
Female.
قلنا.
You male. You
No.
female.
They female.
They female. They,
Female.
the they refers to
They
the female. قلنا. Right? Alright, let's practice some more. Come on. Let's take something. جعل. And now let's make it you female.
جعلت. جعلتي.
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 The second becomes second. Let's take you group of people made. جعل. So when you talk to a group of people, what do you say? What do you say? جعلتم. You as a group. You. Alright, how about you if I want to say she did it?
Na. Jalna.
Single.
جعلت.
Jalat.
جعلت.
جعلت. Alright, how about you female?
You female. Jalati.
جعلتي. How about two people?
Two.
Two. جعلا.
Yeah.
Right. How about group of people? They did. They. Them. They. Group of men. Group of men.
جعلتم.
Jalu.
جعلوا. Alright. Group of females. They did. Women. جعلتم.
جعلنا.
Alright, let's practice.
Group of female.
Group of female. They female. Arabic language, we're sexist. Men and women, we don't group them together. It's actually for clarity and precision, not for being sexist. But you separate. جعلنا. جعلوا. Right? So only time we mix is.
This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explicitly say it. I mean, separate the gender from the very beginning. Imagine, right?
Everything is separate and it has that clarity, it has that. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran is very precise. So you know exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about, right? And so you can understand that. So let's practice some more. Come on, give me some Arabic words. How from the Quran? How about Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr. Anzalna. No answer. No help. It's actually because anzalna, it's a group of male. That's we. If we said anzalna without the pronunciation, it's a group of female.
What is the meaning of the word zalna?
Anzalna is we reveal that being down. Nazala is to come down. Okay? That's why the house is called manzil, because you go down to it. It's where you sleep. It's also called bait because you sleep there too. Alright, let's practice this. Okay, or should I confuse you by adding the object?
Not yet.
Alright,
Confused enough.
let's practice. Let's take some ayat from the Quran. Okay.
So the intention is whenever Allah says so, should I understand that what is
Yes.
who said what is who is said
The
to?
subject.
Yes, and
Who-
so
who
what
is addressed of
we're
the-
trying to do is, if you take a verb, right, and like daraba, right, or akala, we said by adding the alif, the waw, the ya, those 7
Right.
things, you can come up with 10 meanings, right?
Right.
Then now by adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and without adding 1, it gives you another 10. So now you got 20 meanings from one word, right? And once we add to it the object, it's gonna be another 10. So a single word, right now you have developed a vocabulary of 30. So once you get this thing, your vocabulary is multiplied by 30. So a single word will give you 30 different constructs, plus the derivatives that we said if you eliminate this letter, that letter, that letter. So you could then from a single word, and that's the whole object of our class, is that with limited vocabulary, your understanding will be multiplied by how much? A minimum of 30, if not a whole lot more. Right? So when you read the Quran, إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ, كلمة أعطيناك. Okay, and this one, أعطى is to give, that is the verb. Na is the subject, which means we. Ka is the object, which means you. One word, أعطيناك. It's a whole sentence in English. We gave you. You understand? So you see now, you become to develop the full meaning of the sentence by understanding. So that one word gave you 3 meaning right there, right? We gave you, أعطيناك. Right? So you broke the word into 3 components, the verb, the subject, and the object. Right? And we developed a whole sentence from a single word. Right? See, you're underestimating now your power of vocabulary. But if you start to think about it, that how now, if you just understood the word a'ta to mean gave, now you have developed it. When you read in the Quran, it's going to come in a way too many different combinations. Now you understand all those combinations. Right? And now you understand the precision of it. We gave you. You know who did it, what he's doing, and to whom he's doing it. In a single word. Right? That is what I'm trying to get to teach you more than just teach you the vocabulary. I'm not teaching you grammar, I'm not teaching you that stuff, but I'm teaching you that how you could understand the word and dissect it, and how you can then develop the vocabulary, where your vocabulary will increase by a multitude of theory.
That's
For
even the
each.
low number. It will go up higher, right?
Yeah.
30 is the kind of
For every single word.
every single verb.
For every single word. You have a multitude of
mind-boggling.
theory.
It's mind-boggling.
And it's the same rule. It doesn't change. So you take every single word you know in Arabic, you, now you have 30 different constructs of it as the who did what to whom. Who did what? أعطيناك, we gave you. Right? It is we, the verb, the noun, the subject, and the object. Right? So here we will begin once we get, and that's why I want you guys to practice these things. I know it's kind of a little bit of math, a little bit of memorization, but once you get these combinations, and we said, okay, here is theory, but we also said if then forget about derivatives for now. So you got 10 plus 10 plus 10. You got 30 construct here. Here, we take the same word, and by adding to it the alif here, the alif there, the alif here, the alif there, you could put the alif in 3 different places and give you so many meanings. You could put a meme, you could put a wow, you could be all those things we learned in the past 3 classes, that gives you the first 10. Then this 10 for the subject, and this 10 for the object. Right? 30 combinations for a single word. Right? Is it not worth it to expand your vocabulary that way? But what that means is you guys gotta practice this, because it is very easy to confuse the ta, sakina, from the tu, from the ta, from the ti, the na, from the na. Right? It's very easy for non-Arabic speaking to not get it. But all we're talking about is these 10. We need to memorize it. So think about this as a multiplication schedule, right? We need to memorize this 10. Right? Alright, let's do a little bit of practice. And next Sunday, inshallah, we'll make you do this time and time again as a homework. And then we talk about the object and how you do the object. And then we'll start building the vocabulary. Then the Sunday after that, we will start with Surah Al-Qasas. And we'll read Surah Al-Qasas and we'll see how your vocabulary is. I don't want you to read it yourself. I don't want you to look up the tafsir. I want you to pick up the Quran in Arabic, and we want to see how we challenge our intellect, what we have learned, to see if what we have learned apply to that. Right? So we'll take ayat from Surah Al-Qasas, and because it has a lot of, it's a story. It's very easy for you to follow the story and understand the words from the story. So we're going to talk about Surah Al-Qasas, which is the birth of Sayyidina Musa through his growth, and then, getting married and all that.
Yeah, the challenge I'm feeling is when you type these, you add ta to the, and you try to go to the dictionary, it always gives the same.
Wow.
You cannot differentiate.
Well, write it down then. All right? Write it down. That's why we have a whiteboard. Write it down. Memorize it. But you got to memorize it. If you don't memorize it, there is there is nothing I can do. I mean, it's a single letter. I can't break it to you
Yeah.
any more than
No, is
that.
there any other dictionary that you know of online or otherwise? That
No, it doesn't.
differentiate
You
that?
just have, it's
You just
10.
don't know it.
All you have to do is memorize this 10, right? That's all it takes.
What's the root for gave?
Ata. It's a 4-letter word that says ata.
Oh, 4 letter, okay.
They said ta, alif, ta, then ain, right?
Yeah, alif, ain, ta, alif. مقصورة.
Alif, then ain, and then
Alif, ain, ta, alif مقصورة, like the ya without the dots. Ata. Okay, so, all right, let's practice a little bit for the time we got. We probably only have 10 minutes. All right, let's use in Surah Al-Qasas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, طاسيم تلك آيات الكتاب المبين نتلو عليك من نبأ موسى وفرعون. Let's see if you get it. نتلو. Now look in here. Tala is to recite, to read. Natlu.
they
They,
recite,
they recite.
Multiple people.
they male recite. Group of them.
Group of male recited.
Yes. However, now there is something that I haven't told you. Since the noon came in the beginning, it's a we.
نحن يزوي.
It is in the present.
Oh, these are all past.
Everything else I told you is past. Now this is present. So later, I lied to you by saying 10. There is another 10 that will add to it, and there will be 40. But I'm not talking about the present tense yet. See, by adding this guy, we made it a present tense.
What was the word recite?
Tala.
From Tilawa, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that was the
Tala.
word. Tala. So
Tala.
not Tala.
So here, we put the noon to make it present, and we put the wow to make it we. نتلو عليك من نبأ موسى وفرعون بالحق لقوم يؤمنون إن فرعون علا في الأرض. إن فرعون علا. علا is to become high. Think of yourself so high. Right, علا. What is this? What is the subject? Is it a singular, plural, he, she, it, wow?
There is an
they?
alif at the end, so it's a we kind of two people.
No. The alif is intrinsic. It's part of the word. Ala ya'lu is not for the double.
So just
Allah is
say,
above, right?
But it's not Allah.
It's ala. Ala with an alif. It's different from the ala, which is on.
Okay.
Or ala. Inna fir'auna ala. We said if you don't put anything in it, it's a he.
Yes.
Right? So I wanted to touch you because even got the most basic concept. If there is nothing attached, when we don't find anything,
Okay.
it's a he.
right.
Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10 is when nothing is attached. When it's missing, when you see it all by itself. ذهب, أكل, ضرب. It's all about, it's a he. إن فرعون علا في الأرض وجعل أهلها شيعا. جعل. Who's the subject?
He.
See how easy it is?
He goes. Jala is go.
Huh?
Jala is go, right?
Ja'ala is to make. Now here is something, a bonus thing for you.
No, but if we say kataba, that it means he wrote.
If you don't specify any noun,
That's when he.
that means a he.
Not verb, you mean. Verb always in the
Simple.
past tense, meaning
They-
he.
But yeah.
Kharaja, he left, he
yeah.
went.
Kataba, he wrote.
Right.
Unless you add to it, you either specify after it the noun,
Right.
kataba Tareef, or katabtu, or katabat, or katabti. Right, so either you specify, if you don't follow it with a name, or with one of those 10, it's a he.
Is a he.
Yeah.
And the all verbs with 3 letters,
All,
fa'ala,
all verbs is a he. Doesn't
he,
matter.
that's what I meant.
Doesn't matter 3 or 4 or 5. All verbs in the Arabic language, by default, is a he.
And they're all past tense, right?
You always take it to the past tense. We change things to the present tense, and there are
By
times-
adding some,
by adding something.
something in front.
Also, the Arabic language has a third tense. There is past, there is present, and then there is an order. There is a do tense. So if I tell you for you to eat, I say kul. اضرب.
Hit.
Hit. Whereas ضرب is he hit.
He hit.
But اضرب, you hit. Now, it's an order. And now we learn another concept on top of the theory that we just read, or the theory we just learned, right? So here I'm gonna give you a bonus thing for just 1 minute.
If we say katabti means I wrote with her,
No, she wrote, you wrote, you female wrote.
you female wrote.
So if you're
katabti.
talking to your daughter, you say katabti.
Oh, I see. She wrote. Katabti. No,
No,
she.
you female wrote.
You female, yeah.
It's a difference between you male wrote. That's your open my jacket.
Yeah.
They could always wait, give me a break. Brother Anwar's call. All right. You want to talk to him? Find out what he wants. All right. While they make the other, I'll give you a tease. What is the difference between فعل, عمل, and جعل? فعل is to do something. عمل is to do something. جعل is to do something.
Okay, so what's the difference between?
Yes.
Everything is here, right?
Yeah, everything's he.
Forget about the he. This has nothing to do with the he and she.
Okay.
Now we're talking about meaning. It's a tease on meaning.
Amila
Now
is
I'll
what?
give you more extra things to know. Alright. Fa. Fa is soft. Fa. See how soft is it? Ja.
Strong.
You see how strong? Qah.
Yes.
Right? Qah. Ja'al. Right? You see there's a, your mouth is working, right? Ja'al. Fa'ala. Fa'ala. You can't make fa'ala hard. Fa'al. You can't. It just doesn't happen. Ja'ala is a hard, right? Amila is in between. So you see the softness of the letter gave you a different meaning. They all did something. This, he did something once, easy, didn't take much effort. Amala, it took a little bit of effort. Ja'ala took a lot of effort.
Everything's great, but it's all different.
Based on letters.
You see?
There's a strong letter, weak letter.
So now your vocabulary has increased by one.
vocabulary has increased to the level of fire.
So the roughness of the word or
The
letter.
roughness of the word, the combination. For instance, the qaf in the Arabic language is all about strength. Is all about power. Doesn't find a qaf that doesn't have that doesn't have a meaning of strength. Jim in the beginning has a meaning of difficulty, of power. Jabal, Jabal, right? Ja'al, Jabbar, Jahar. All those things have a. If Jim starts in the first word, there is a little bit of toughness. The only exception to that, but there is a reason for that, is Jameel, beautiful. To be beautiful, you have to work at it. So it's actually
Dal also is strong.
no, that is soft. Yeah, there is some that are combination that can have it both, but there are letters that are always soft and letters that are always hard.
So that is by the sound or by the position of their letter.
No, especially if we start with the first letter. If it starts with the first, it's always soft, it's always hard. One will always be this, will be that. But this is way too much. But I'm just trying to
It sure is.
I'm trying to tell you that once you, the more you get into this, the easier it's going to become for you to understand the words of the Quran to a degree of what? To really an in-depth degree. So now all you have to do is expand how many words you know, right? Then you're gonna be able to great detail understand that word. But you gotta work, you gotta memorize. If you don't memorize what we did in the first with the alif, the waw, the ya, the nun, the mim, and all that stuff, if you don't memorize these, then it's really a waste of time, because if you don't get this, you're not going to be able to move into the next class, which will be the object. So I want you to go into Surah Al-Qasas. Alright, each one of you, I want you to go into Surah Al-Qasas and pick 3 words of the surah and dissect it for me in terms of, is it a he, is it a she, is it this, is it that. وقالت لأخته قصيه فبصرت به عن جرب وهم لا يشعرون قالت هل أدلكم على أهل بيت يكفلونه لكم وهم له ناصحون. There is a lot of verbs in it. ورددناه إلى أمه كي تقر عينها ولا تحزن. Right? All these are verbs. Now I want you to figure out where they are. Who the subject is based on these concepts. 3 each. Right? If you can give this to me. Did I want anything, brother?
No, he is